Hey, FlashPoint Army, are you looking for truth and news all in the spirit of faith? Well, don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to stay connected. Not a part of the FlashPoint Army? Sign up for the latest email updates at govictory.com/FP signup and join us as we stand for truth and freedom. With me, Lou Dobbs. Lou, thank you for joining FlashPoint tonight.
Great to be with you.
Listen, we are excited to have you. Been following your career for a long time. That doesn't mean that you're old. That means you've just been doing TV a long time.
I'm a veteran.
Yeah, a veteran. There you go. Good word. Lou, first, I have so many questions. I want to start with, so many people stop us wherever we are across America and say, you know, we love you, we watch you, we don't watch mainstream media anymore, we don't watch mainstream news. You know, it's been a shock to most of America that the news hasn't been telling the truth. Has it been that way a long time?
It's been that way. It's been that way for, I'd say, well, a long time is good. But I can recall when we started cable news network, CNN. Right. We did so because there was a demand for something independent and fresh and new that people could rely on. It first, it was a disruptive force. And then Ted Turner decided that it was going to be, again, a liberal network.
Right.
And unfortunately, when it did that, it invited Fox News in 1996 to compete.
Right.
And it wasn't long before Fox News was winning because all that was out there was left-wing voices on TV and cable.
So now you're out on your own, and let's talk, kind of update the people watching on what you're doing now.
We're podcasting principally, doing some political economy and business reporting for business reports for WABC Radio in New York, and having fun.
That's good. Good. Having fun's great. Let's talk about political economy. We're going into this next election right around the corner here.
Right.
It seems to me that we haven't been in election season as early this far as we are this time. Right. Seems that we're really crashing into this. A lot of talk. How does the political economy affected, you think, this time with what's going on with Biden and Trump?
I think that it's awakened a lot of people because of what we went through with COVID, what we went through with what I believe to be a rigged election in 2020. And when I say I believe it, it's not an article of faith with me. I know the facts, and the facts are direct, and I think only one reasonable conclusion: it was rigged. And there is an illegitimate president, and that has created a fire as you travel around the country. I'm sure you find it as well. This is a moment of crisis. It is a crisis, I think, economically, because we are watching, again, real wages for middle-class Americans. Hard-working men and women and their families are under threat. Right. So many people are living paycheck to paycheck in a period that should be prosperous. But they face instead high inflation. We're watching mortgage interest rates rise again. This is a time where we have to decide who we're going to focus on as a society. Our middle class, our families. We've seen the birth rates decline. Right. We have seen jobs that are just tight as they can be because a lot of people simply don't want to work. And by the way, as you may know, you don't have to work in this country anymore.
Right.
So we've got a lot on our plate. But this election may seem closer because there are so many important existential issues, really, facing the American people.
So what do you think is the most critical? Let's go down those existential issues. What's the most critical issue?
The most critical is coming to terms with what we've done to ourselves. And one of the things we have to begin with is, in my opinion, is straightforwardly understanding that we have allowed the Marxist left, the Marxist Dems, to take control of the Democratic Party, take control of the government. Americans don't want to admit this.
Right.
They're no longer in control of the federal government. The Marxist Dems are. The deep state is. The FBI, the Department of Justice. I can't think of a single agency of the federal government that isn't right now in the control of a group of people who see you and me as an enemy.
That's right. Well, and all those news agencies say so quite often as we're enemies. Lou, let's talk
I've
about.
tested that a couple of times.
Yes, I know. When people, as you talked about Americans across this nation, they've been shocked, of what happened. Has it really always kind of been there, or are we just now seeing it?
There has been a bias in the media that's always been liberal throughout my lifetime, but there was also a sense of constraint. Walter Cronkite held his tongue, but you could tell what he was thinking. That's one level of constraint, and that was generally the approach. But with the advent of the internet, the advent of cable news, and fabulously wealthy media companies, they said, we're just going to have our way, and they did. I got a kick out of CNN saying it was going to go a different direction when it fired the most recent CEO. It lasted about a week and a half, and the next thing you know, they're hiring all of this liberal talent. Yeah.
What about, all right, though, that's one issue. Let's talk about cancel culture. It's something that we say all the time, but we're living that. Americans are living that, whether it's standing up at a school board meeting, standing up at their churches and saying something, refusing to get a jab. Cancel culture is alive and well still in America. How is that ever? You went through that. What was that like for you to have to deal with all that?
Well, I guess I was a pioneer. I was an avant-garde. I was very fortunate as a journalist to be blackballed by Republican and Democratic administrations, Democrat and Republican White Houses and presidents. In the case of George Bush, because I said it's time to name the enemy, and the enemy is the radical Islamists. Let's name them. This should not be a war on terror. This should be a war very specific on the enemies that have attacked the United States. That annoyed Condoleezza Rice and a number of people in the White House, including the president, who I think I also upset because they said this country should not be outsourcing jobs. We shouldn't be offshoring production. That was, and also I said to President Bush, the fact of the matter is, I'm not an isolationist because I don't want you to outsource our manufacturing capacity and American middle-class jobs. I'm not a racist because I want to see border security and our immigration laws enforced. With President Obama, I said, point of fact, I don't understand why you don't just produce your birth certificate and end this argument.
Why is that?
By the way, I believed at the time and I believe now he's an American citizen, and I have no proof one way or the other, but I never did understand why he just didn't produce it and end the discussion. And I think now, in the fullness of time, he wanted to keep that going because it was a divisive issue, and that is exactly what he was about, dividing this country on so many ways. And he was a man I thought would be a healer, not a divider.
So speaking of that, there's so many political officials that are doing exactly the same thing, dividing America, and they seem to be enjoying that. What's the end game? Why, in your opinion, what's that all about?
I believe what it's about is that Americans don't really want to deal with this reality. The reality is that we have a group of people in this country who, in the combination of their ideology and their anti-Americanism, have formed a fifth column.
Right.
They have decided that they're going to destroy our public schools. They're going to destroy our children. They're going to drive out. Now, what is interesting, I believe this, that they have tried to shut down churches, people of faith of all religions. The result has been the inverse in that instance of what they sought to achieve. More people are moving to their faith and to their religions, to Christ, and that's I think what we call an unforeseen consequence, and one of the, and of course the happiest unseen consequences as a result of this Marxist takeover of our society. But it's only one, and unfortunately there aren't many. This is an existential crisis we face, and no one should doubt it for a moment.
So how do you got American people here watching, you got conservative patriots that watch this show, conservative Christians that remember what this nation was founded upon. What is it that they have to do to see this turn around?
I truly believe, first of all, what we're watching at this summit is Americanism at work. These are folks who just come from their private lives to take up a public purpose, which is saving their country, their republic. And that, I know that sounds melodramatic to some, but that is truly what this is about.
It is.
Your voice right here, and all of the Victory Broadcasting, it's such a critical role that you perform in the public square. These people representing 50 states have to take on every possible role they can in their communities, because proximity is everything in politics, as it is in most things. You're closer to your government. You're closer to control of your life. Your community needs you involved, and particularly on in whether it's your zoning commission, your city hall, or your city council, whatever it may be. You need to be engaged, and we need you at the polls. We need you now, working for the candidates that will change the direction of this country. Because I truly believe if we do not take control of our lives at the local level, our lives will never be the same again. We have to get re-engaged. The Republican Party is about far more than business, because businesses said the heck with the Republican Party, perhaps appropriately so. And Republicans just have to roll up their sleeves and take nothing for granted and make certain that they're giving back to the community with their time, their energy, their interest. And share their ideals, their values, their love of country, and their faith.
All right, let me, last question, I want to finish this up. Donald Trump, all these indictments, do you think he's going to come through it okay? You think we're going to see something happen? What's your take on that?
Well, he's an innocent man. The only wrongdoing that has been discovered in 8 years, think of this. 8 years of political persecution of this man. And the only wrongdoing that has been found in all that time has been the wrongdoing, the lies, crimes committed by the Department of Justice, the FBI, the judiciary, and the FISA courts. And the intelligence agencies. A former vice president in the Obama administration, President Obama himself, it looks like, and certainly this president. It's quite a moment in history we're living in, and it's one that has to be righted.
Amen. All right, Lou Dobbs tonight right here on FlashPoint. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being a part.
Thank you so much.
I am a Christian.
I am a patriot.
I stand for truth
when no one else will.
I know, no matter what happens in the world, there are others like me who follow Christ, not culture. And I am not alone.
My children will grow up in a country that prioritizes keeping them safe. And I am fighting for that future.
I am a source of God's truth for people living in a world that wants to confuse them. And I am not afraid to speak up.
I am leading my community to prove to them that my generation is not lost. It's my time.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.